Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn with PD Coalition Darlington County Services Team. I am Pamela Prince, and I am one of the hosts for today. And we want the rest of our staff to introduce themselves.
My name is Charlotte Gaddy, and I'm the Darlington County Volunteer Coordinator for PD Coalition. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Dolores Bess. I am the trauma counselor for Darlington County.
I'm Sierra Moore, and I'm the victim advocate for the city of Darlington.
And we have some guests that are here with us this afternoon, and I would like for them to kind of introduce themselves, if you don't mind. Doctor.
Okay, hello. Hey, I'm Antonio Black from Florence, South Carolina, founder of Truth Zone Ministries, also serve on the staff at Savannah Grove Baptist Church and Restoration Christian Ministries in Bishopville.
It's great to have you, Dr. Black. Thank you for attending with us. Ms. Reed.
Hello, I'm just a supportive guest here. Once upon a time, PD Coalition staff, but on to new things. I'm just here to show some support, that's all.
Thank you so much for being with us, Kyoko. We definitely appreciate you being with us today. And Ms. Hope, how are you?
Hi, I'm Hope Hannah, Florence County Coordinator with PD Coalition.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. And we have others that are coming in.
Yes.
They're coming in, so we'll just give them a second. First, I want to say thank you so much for joining us on today. One of the things that we wanted to do is in lieu of everything that's going on with COVID, we know we had to find more inventive ways to be able to reach the people and the communities, to talk about our services, the thing that we do for the community. So of course, this was one of the means that we use to try to communicate with everyone. And we have Domestic Violence Awareness Month that is fastly approaching. So this is one of our things that we wanted to do to kind of get ourselves back out there in the community. One of the things we wanted to do today is we wanted to specifically talk about domestic violence and how that affects us as individuals, how it affects us even when it comes to the churches. And that's why we have Dr. Black with us this afternoon. Hello, Frida, thank you for joining. So first, we already introduced ourselves. And Frida, thank you for coming in. Would you like to introduce yourself? I think she's talking. So, as Ms. Frida, hi, thanks for joining us. So most of us here know who we are and why we are part of this conversation today, because a lot of us are PD Coalition former or current staff, but we wanted to make sure we gave an opportunity to those who are joining us live through Facebook to be able to hear about some of the services that we are providing and that we do provide for the community. So let me tell you a little bit about PD Coalition. We are a nonprofit volunteer organization that is dedicated to the reduction of sexual assault, family violence, and to child abuse, and to the needs of the victims. We serve in 8 different counties, and we're providing services for domestic violence victims, child abuse, just like we just said. We are one of the few centers that do provide services for the whole entire family. So whether that child is abused, we provide services for that individual. We also provide counseling services and other advocacy programs and services for the victims, the whole family, even provide services for that abuser through our Alternatives to Violence program. So we have several programs that are available to the community for assistance, for help. If you ever need us, we do have information that is online. Just go to pdcoalition.org and you will see a lot of our information there. First, we wanted to talk about domestic violence and what domestic violence is, how domestic violence affects us as individuals, and how domestic violence affects the community, how it affects the churches, okay? So I wanted to first ask Dr. Black a question, if you don't mind. I know that you have been out in the community. We've even been at your church on an occasion as well to basically talk to the parishioners about domestic violence and some of the issues that we face. What are some of your takes when it comes to the services of the community as PD Coalition in reference to providing services for the community, or should I say victims of the churches? Do you see where we have been an assistance to the people of the Lord, if I may say, we repeat, to the people of God. Have we been an assistance? Do you see anything that we can do differently to be able to bring those services and bring a closer connection with working together?
Okay. Well, thank you for that question. Certainly, I've seen you all's presence in the community at several different churches across the denominational board. So your presence is definitely seen and felt, and it is appreciated. My only concern is that I want churches to reach out more to you, to do things like this, provide training, just to know that you are available. That's the only thing, nothing on your end per se, but definitely I just want more churches to know that your services are available to them at any time, and just be more comfortable reaching out to you all.
Wonderful. And that's one of our biggest concerns too. We want people to know that we are here to provide those services as needed. And a lot of people are kind of, may I say, standoffish, because some people don't know, but thank you so much for saying that our presence is known and you have seen our presence there. And that's one of the things we're working on. We're trying to increase that. But one of the things I am concerned about personally is that I have noticed that some churches may or may not want to disclose or talk about the issues of violence when it comes to sexual assault or domestic violence. Have you noticed that at all, Dr. Black?
Unfortunately, yes. And several reasons why I say it's unfortunate. When you think about church, it's supposed to be a safe place. Churches are you're supposed to come and be around people that care, people that's going to aid in your healing, in your restoration, in your recovery of whatever you may be going through. But unfortunately, when it comes to domestic violence issues, sexual assault, and all of that, we are too silent. We are way too silent on these issues, and it causes more problems, because if you can't get help in the church, if you can't share your story
Exactly.
among people of the faith, then where can you go? So I try to do my part in encouraging ministers, pastors to create safe spaces
Wonderful.
where people can be able to share their experiences, share what they're going through, and so that we can be able to be a place of healing and restoration.
Wonderful, wonderful. When we talk about domestic violence, Dr. Black, I know you're very familiar with some of the things that we face and some of the things that we see, or some of the indicators of domestic violence. But maybe some of our viewers that are watching us live through Facebook or other means may not be as familiar with some of the signs of domestic violence, or for that matter, even, what domestic violence is all about. So we do have a lot of things that are going on to define domestic violence and to talk about domestic violence, but we just want to give a brief overview today to let them know more about domestic violence and what we as a community and they as individuals can also do to help the situation, okay? We also talk about domestic violence as being defined as physical harm or injury, or a threat or an attempt to cause harm to a person or a household member. And we know what a household member is. It's going to be a spouse, a former spouse, or persons who have children together, or persons who have cohabitated together and living together. We also try to understand why people are violent, why people want to abuse each other, what is the big thing behind it. And it comes down to power and control. Is it because he wants her to do what he says? He wants her to obey her. He wants power and control over that individual. And that's what it all comes down to. The biggest part about it is about power and control, whether it's the man abusing the woman or whether it's the woman abusing the man. It's all about power and control. And when we talk about power and control and we talk about abuse, there are basically 5 forms of battering that we want to discuss. And that is the physical, that is the psychological, the sexual, the stalking, and even the destruction of pets and property. We do know that sometimes the biggest thing, of course, we do see is going to be the physical. You might see the bruises, you might see the scratches or the bruises. You ever been in a store or been around someone and you saw evidence that maybe there was a fight or maybe there was a struggle or some type of physical altercation? And I don't know about you, but I have been to the place where I wanted to ask so bad, oh my God, do you need some assistance? Do you need some help? So I have, in my own way, discreetly been able to leave little small shoe cards, just to say, hi, my name is Pamela, and just put it in their hand and walk off, because we don't know, it could have been something else. But just to say it could have been an incident where it was domestic violence. I want that individual to be able to know that help is available. So we can always see the physical aspects of what's happening, but when it comes to the psychological aspects, we cannot always see that, because of course that's a lot of the mental issues that's going on. Dolores, would you mind to talk about some of the psychological aspects of domestic violence?
I'm sorry, we had to mute it. You want me to talk about the psychological aspects of domestic violence as far as the family is concerned? Okay, so one of the things is you think about the emotional abuse. You think about emotional, you think about the physical, you think about the mental. The mental part is the number one. The mental and the emotional are the two things that you can't see. The things that you can see are the physical, the things that happen to a person physically, the black eye, the bloody nose, the broken jaw, the broken arm, different bruises on their body. So you can see those things, but what about the things that you can't see? And those are the psychological parts that needs, the physical part is going to heal in time, but the psychological part heals over time.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Dolores. And that is one of the things why, some people don't realize that sometimes that psychological can be just as traumatic as the physical aspects of domestic violence. I have had individuals tell me, sometimes it is worse than actually have the beating parts of what's going on. But we want to discuss it because, at the end of the day, it's still a serious problem. There are people who will even turn to abusing the pets or the animals that that individual loves. Why? Because it's something they know they care about. They know it's something special to that individual, and they will do anything to try to break that individual down. And then, of course, we have the sexual assault, sexual abuse, where you have persons who use sex as a tool in addition to the physical, the emotional aspects, and even stalking. And stalking is so important. A lot of people don't realize how important stalking is, but you'd be surprised how many individuals turn to that stalking aspect before something even more violent basically occurs. Now we want to talk about why some people actually do turn to abusing people. We don't always know every aspect of an individual's lives, but we do know what has caused some of the things that we have been able to compile together when the data is concerned about some of the ramifications behind some of the actions or the things that people do. So sometimes we do know that control, like we said before, it's all about that power and control. Some individuals use power and control, or they use abuse to show their partners that they are in control, to basically show and exert their power over another individual, to have their own way, to say it's going to be my way or no way at all. It's going to be what I say. You're going to obey me, in order to intimidate that individual so they will not leave them, or to release pressure and frustration. We do realize that a lot of things are going on, even now with COVID. So some people may not know how to handle their frustration with dealing with all that anxiety. So they might turn to being physical to another individual, but it still does not even say come close to this is acceptable behavior, because it is not. We do not want anyone to be abused. And we want to do our part to make sure we can let those numbers come down. Charlotte is going to talk to us now about the cycle of violence as well as our power and control wheel.
Hi, Pamela. Just a quick note, there was a message to let Martha in on the meeting, so please let Martha in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm going to cover power and control, and we have a power control wheel that we use to display some of the actions that an abuser might use, which they may one come into play, or they may all roll into a scenario between a couple. But some of those things would be like using intimidation, And this would be making her afraid or making him afraid by looks or gestures, destroying property or harming animals, displaying weapons. And then there's emotional abuse, and this is putting your partner down, making them feel guilty about something, playing mind games or humiliating the partner. An abusive person might use isolation, which is controlling what the person is doing, who they're around, who she sees, making them feel bad about themselves, calling them names, making them think they're crazy or playing mind games. Those all roll into the emotional abuse part of it. They could be minimizing or denying or blaming the abuse, making light of it, making it feel like it's that person's fault, or just completely denying it that it ever even happened. They could shift responsibility for the abuse to the other partner. They could use children, using visitation to get to the other partner, relaying messages, making them feel guilty about leaving or threatening to take the children away, are all ways that they could use children as an abusive tactic. Using male privilege. This is acting like they're the king of the castle, being the one to make all the rules, define the roles between the man and the woman and who's going to be doing what. So generally just making all the decisions. And then that kind of rolls into using economic abuse, which is preventing a partner from having a job, making someone ask for money or not letting them have access to the family bank account, family income, and then using coercions and threats and making or carrying out threats to do something, threatening to leave, commit suicide. If you leave, I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going to report you to DSS. I'm going to make you got to drop the charges or do something illegal. These are all coercions and threats and part of what we call the power and control wheel. And it leads to the cycles of domestic violence. So part of that power control is what starts off, and then there's a tension building stage. And this could be minor incidents that gradually become or build into something severe. And then there's the actual battering stage. And this is explosive and uncontrollable rage, which is usually followed, if there's not any action taken, by a honeymoon stage. And this is where the partner is calm, kind and loving to the other partner, and just trying to make up. And then it kind of starts all over back again. And that's with the power control, the tension building stage. So does anyone have any questions on all of that?
Awesome. Thank you, Charlotte.
You're welcome.
Now we're going to talk about some of the indicators of domestic violence, and Sierra is going to present that information for us.
Hello, everybody. I also want to add in here, just because I mentioned some of these things, it doesn't mean that this person necessarily is going through a DV situation. These are just some of the indicators that could be a sign of a domestic violence situation. Physical injuries, a black eye, broken bones, a bloody nose, a busted lip. You got stress-related illnesses. If someone is extremely stressed, it could be because they're having some issues with their relationship. Marital or family problems, depression, if they're drinking excessively or using drugs, and then also absentee at work. So if you got a person who's normally there super early or always on time, and all of a sudden they're leaving early, they're coming in late, they may have something going on. Low self-esteem, lack of personal grooming, if they're withdrawn, or even if they make statements about the abuse itself. Those are all indicators that they may be going through a domestic violence situation.
Awesome. Surya, did you want to talk any about some of the signs that are accompanied with some of the indicators of an abuser?
Yes, you mentioned some of them earlier. So like cruelty to animals. If you see someone who is taking anger out on animals, lack of communication, jealousy, they're always worried about the person that you're talking to, showing extreme signs of those. Heavy drinking. If you have physical abuse while you're dating, then it's most likely going to lead to abuse in a marriage. If they came from a violent environment, So if they were raised with a mom who got abused by her father or got abused by their father, then it's most likely going to lead to the same kind of situation. And then also not being able to handle frustration. If they can't really handle their anger very well, they may take it out on you.
Very good. Next, Dolores is going to talk to us about the impact of DV on the whole family, in addition to why the victims do not leave.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the children and family, or kids and family. One of the things that Charlotte mentioned on the wheel of power control is using the children. I have seen that happen so many times in some of my counseling and some of the sessions that I have, individual sessions that I have with some of the individuals, is that, well, he's telling me this, or he sent a message by the oldest child, or by the baby, or by the middle child to tell me this, tell me if I shouldn't have anybody over here, or if I have somebody over here, they're going to tell it, or I shouldn't be involving the kids in a new relationship, all kinds of stuff. So really the thing that's on the wheel of power control, it really is, it really do be in full effect when you're talking about children and families, whether you have a wife and a husband, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or two partners and they have children, it doesn't matter. Sometimes, and they'll say, well, no, I'm not doing that. But yeah, they put the kids in the middle of their adult situation, and it causes the kids to really kind of feel like they got to take a side. Well, I love, or sometimes they will even make them feel like, well, you love her more than you love me, or you love him more than you love me. And especially if that child is saying, well, I don't want to live with you, I don't want to be with you. And it could be something that the partner has said to the child. So that is usually in full effect in a relationship, or in the midst of a family situation, whether it's domestic violence. It could be domestic violence, or it could be a horrible divorce, separation. So, and where some domestic violence has already taken place within the marriage, and now it's coming out. So, using the children is really probably number one or high priority when it comes to the family. The other thing is that when you talk about children that are in domestic violence situations, in homes of domestic violence, you think about how are they, what's their demeanor, how are they acting. A lot of times it can go, now this is the thing, this can be sometimes. So sometimes you can see these things and sometimes not. Sometimes you might see them on the far end of the spectrum, which means that their behavior can be so horrible that it's like, wait a minute, why are they acting out like this? Are they acting out like this because they want their way? Are they acting out like this because something else is going on? Or is there some other kind of mental health issue going on with the child? And you can only find out those things once that child is actually in counseling, individual session where that counselor can sit down with them, can talk with them, can do play therapy, can do different types of therapy with them to kind of draw those things out. So sometimes you might have a kid who is extremely quiet, very withdrawn, doesn't talk about anything, doesn't talk about what's going on in the home. The kid also could be showing some signs of depression, could be showing some signs of anxiety, could be showing some signs of maybe they're falling asleep in class because they're up all night because the parents are arguing or fussing or fighting or what have you. And statistics show that about 50% of the kids are either in the same room that the abuse is happening, or they're next to the abuse. That means that the abuse can be happening in the living room, but they could be in their bedroom, or the abuse could be happening in the kitchen and they're in the living room or the room where they watch TV. So it's very close proximity according to statistics. The other thing is that you have kids now more on the extreme level of them, just like I said before, just acting out at home, acting out at school, just being very belligerent, not listening, not taking in as far as when the authorities come, authority figure, not necessarily the police, but it could be the principal, it could be the teacher, it could be the resource officer, it could be the guidance counselor, it could be anybody that's at the school that's trying to talk to the child, but the child is very belligerent and not wanting to talk. So it could be some things that are going on at home that's causing this child to act out in the classroom. Not just in the classroom, but the child acting out at home, and the parents may not even realize what they are going through, what they are experiencing themselves is being projected onto the child. And so the child, kids, we think that kids know how to process things correctly, and they don't. They really don't. They don't know how to process things correctly. Their emotions can be kind of all over the place, so to speak. And they don't know, they can't even really put into words like, I don't like when my daddy hits my mama, or I don't like when my daddy comes home drunk, or I don't like when my daddy is doing drugs in the room and he won't let me in. And I know he's back there doing drugs because when my mama goes back there, they can tell you all of these things, but it's like unless you really sit down with them, unless you have a not just a conversation with them, they have to be in some kind of therapeutic setting to where they're able to get these feelings out and be able to articulate, that's the word, to be able to really articulate correctly what is going on with them. So that's the one about children and families. But let's talk a minute about why they don't leave. It's a lot of reasons why. And sometimes when you're on the outside, you're looking in. Before I came to work at PD Coalition, I worked for mental health and I worked for DSS and some other places. And, in my mind, it's like, why can't you leave? Why can't you get it together? Well, now, since I've been in this position, I understand why they don't leave. It's a lot of things of why they don't leave. Number one is again, let's go back to the will of power and control, economic abuse. Okay, if you have a person who's a stay-at-home mom and he's paying all the bills in the home, how is she gonna leave? She's not gonna feel comfortable leaving because she's gonna take her children out of the environment. She's gonna put her children in a shelter situation where everybody is all together. Yes, she may be away from that situation. She may be away from that abuse, but she's taking her children out of the environment. So she is really thinking about her children. She's not just thinking about herself, but she's thinking about her children and how is she going to be able to afford to give them the things that they need, the necessary, the essential things that they need. That's number one. And then another one could be breaking the family up. Oh, I don't want to break my family up. I don't want to be from a broken home. I don't want my children to grow up how I grew up. And so that mindset, they have to come out of that mindset of, I don't want to be from a broken home. If truth be told, nobody wants to be from a broken home. But if the abuse is so bad and things are so in turmoil, then you have to truly make up your mind whether or not you're going to stay or whether you're going to leave, and what's going to be better for not just for you, but for you and your children in the long run. And then a lack of resources is another one. A lack of resources, again, no money, nowhere to go, no job. You don't have anything. Oh, I've had a person to tell me one time, oh, he locked me out of the account. You think about, I had access to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, all of a sudden, I don't. I can't even go in the store and buy bread. So it's a lot of different things that that's going on within the family. So, and then the other thing is I love him, you know. And that's one thing that I tell the people that come to see me. It's not my job to tell them to leave or to stay. My job is just to help them wherever they are. I'm going to say that again. My job is not to say leave or to stay. My job is to help you for wherever you are. And that if you want to stay, let me help. Okay, if that's what you want to do, let me help you stay safe. If that's not what you want to do, then let me help you be safe. Whichever one that you want to do, let's do that. Okay. So, and then, you know, sometimes they look at other people's relationships. They look at other people's relationships and they say, oh, well, you know, they may look at their friend and be like, oh, they got worse off than me. I got it good. No, that's not the case. So you have to look at your own relationship and you have to say, in the end, is this what I want to do? Is this what I want to do for my children? Is this what I want, how I want to raise my children? And a lot of times what happens, if you raise a child in a situation like that, what happens is those children mimic what they've learned.
Learn behavior.
So, and they do what they've learned, the behaviors, everything, and it's almost like reliving it all over again. And so you have to kind of take that in consideration. And the other thing is feeling guilty. Nobody wants me. Nobody wants to be with me. Nobody's gonna love me like he loves me. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there because you know, we've been in this for so long that we've seen so many different things happen. And so are you gonna let him love you to death?
Good question.
So, and, you know, I'm going to end with this one. The last one would be committing suicide. Well, if you leave, if you and the children leave, I'm going to kill myself. I'm just going to kill myself. I'm going to end my life. Well, okay. I'm going to say what I say to all of the women that I see. If a person is threatening suicide and they are refusing to get help for themselves, then it becomes not your fault. It's not your fault that they chose, listen to me carefully, they chose to take their life. Now, none of us want anybody to take their life. No. And if somebody is threatening to take their life, then, you know, get them the help that they need. But, you know, the responsibility is not yours. The responsibility is theirs. And if they choose to take their own life because they keep threatening because they want you to stay, then you have to make a decision of, am I going to allow him or her, the partner, to intimidate me so much so that I'm going to stay? And every time they threaten to kill themselves, every time they threaten to do whatever, am I just going to back down from that? And that's a way of intimidating you to stay.
And a lot of manipulation, yes.
Not move forward and manipulation. So
I think one of the things, I'm not sure if everyone else has realized this or not, but one of the things that make a lot of sense, and I'm glad you hit on it, Dolores, is about the issues of suicide, because you would be surprised how many times we hear that story. You know, I'm not leaving because he said if I do, or she, of course, but if I do leave, he's going to kill himself. We hear that so many times, and it's a big form of manipulation. It really is. Do you hear it a lot, Dolores? Yeah.
I do hear it quite often. I won't say a lot. But I do hear it quite often where they have threatened to kill themselves. He said that he said that if I leave and I take the children, that life is not even worth living. Yeah. Well, no, there are some other things. Do you want to get your life together? Do you want counseling? Do you want to sit down and talk about these things? You know, I've heard several you know, they're together and they're talking about getting married. And the question that I ask them is, okay, you're going to get married. Do you think things are going to get better or worse after you get married? Things have got to, you have got to be able to see things get progressively better on this side versus on the side of I do.
I think a lot of people go in with that pretense. If I marry him or her, that it will get better because I can change him or I can change her.
Not, and I don't care who you are, you cannot make a person be better. You cannot make them choose to do the right thing. You cannot make them stop hitting you, punching you, calling you names, belittling you. You can't make them do any of those things. That has to be on the inside of them. They have got to want it for themselves. And if they don't want it for themselves on this side of I do, then what are you going to do when you say I do? You'll know what you did.
Exactly. If I can be transparent for a moment, because I know we will be sharing this video live on other platforms, but let me express myself to everyone who's watching this right now. I did not realize the severity of domestic violence until I became a part of the PD Coalition. I have had, since being here, I have had friends and family members die from domestic violence or be in domestic violence situations. Some have, I mean, when I say took me, it just took my breath away because I never realized it was to that extent or that they were even involved in some of these situations. But I want people out there to know that domestic violence is a serious situation. And I heard Dolores say, do you want him to love you to death? Do you want her to love you to death? No, that's not what I want. But there has been so many people who have lost their lives because of domestic violence. So that's why we're using this platform to be able to educate, to let people know that this is a serious problem. And for many people, it does end in death. But as for as many people that we can help, we want to make a change and make a difference in somebody's life by saying, you don't have to stay if you don't want to stay. Staying is for some is the only option. But we're here to let you know that there are other options that are available. Regardless of your walk of life, regardless of your income status, wherever you are, there are other options available. If you don't want to stay, you don't have to stay. The PD Coalition is here. We can help you. We can help form a safety plan. We can help put things together with you to help you leave that situation if that's what you want to do. Even if you don't want to leave, we can still help you do what you need to do. As Dolores was saying, we can help you where you are. If that is the situation, and we still can provide services for you where you are in that situation. So don't think that just because I'm not in the position to leave right now, that I don't need their help. I don't need to call the PD Coalition. You will be surprised. We are here to help from the beginning to the end. We have clients who never leave those abusive relationships, but we are still here and we still provide those same services for those individuals. But we want you to know help is available. Dr. Black, we appreciate you so much for being here with us. One of the last things I wanted to discuss, if you don't mind, is the stigma that comes with, because I am in the church, I feel that I cannot leave this relationship. When you have that and you're presented with that issue, and you know that individual is in a domestic situation, but this is their reason for leaving, is because they feel like if they leave, they're breaking their law with God. What would be your response to that?
I've heard that all of my life. I think, first of all, that God would not want you in any situation that's going to cause you harm. If we believe that God is a God of love, then if he loves you, he's not going to put you in harm's way, and he wouldn't want you in harm's way. So whatever you need to do to remove yourself from that situation, it's fine. It says nothing of your lack of faith. It says nothing about your faith at all. It's just that you're removing yourself from a situation that can bring you harm. It's just as simple as that. And I think that's an area the church need to be more supportive in encouraging these individuals that it's okay for you to save your life. Just use one biblical illustration. Even when Jesus was an infant. When the king Herod was after his life, it was incumbent upon Joseph to remove Jesus from that threatening situation. And so why wouldn't he want the same for you? So there's nothing wrong with removing yourself from a situation that can cost you your life. Nothing at all.
Definitely. We just want to say thank you so much to everyone who participated today. And I want you to know that help is available. If you're in this area or wherever you are, we can even make a referral to someone who might be in a totally different area, not in this PD region area, but wherever you are, we can get help to you. Please don't hesitate to call if you're in an abusive relationship and you want to find what your resources are, what is available to you. Reach out to someone, reach out to the coalition. We are here to help. We have a 1-800 crisis line number. We have a women's shelter as well as a transitional home to be able to help those individuals who are misplaced and who need to leave those abusive relationships. So there are options available. Dolores is one of our many counselors that we do have at the PD Coalition to be able to help those individuals who are dealing with the trauma, who are dealing with some of the consequences that have become a part of being in an abusive relationship. We also have services for the volunteer coordinator. Charlotte is our volunteer coordinator for Darlington County. Charlotte, would you like to tell about what you do?
Yeah, sure. My responsibility, aside from also being a part of a victim advocate, is to coordinate with schools for interns and our volunteers for our mobility, our crisis line. This is a crisis line that's manned 24 hours a day. And so we have folks that are on the mobility calendar. And when we get a call to a hospital, those are the individuals that are on our calendar, our volunteers, are the ones that respond to that hospital call or that crisis call to meet an individual, to do an assessment and to help them out and lead them in the right direction while they're in the hospital. We do get calls from law enforcement, and those calls would also be directed to the on-call person as well. And another part of my job is just kind of to get out in the community and let people know what PD Coalition is, bring awareness to domestic violence and sexual assault, let them know about the Durant Center. So it's kind of being a social butterfly out in the community, and then also once we get the volunteers, funneling them into their roles with PD Coalition as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlotte.
You're welcome.
Sierra Moore is our advocate for the city of Darlington, South Carolina. Sierra, would you like to tell us about what you do?
Yes, ma'am. I like to tell clients when they ask exactly
Can't hear you.
what I. Oh, we're muted?
We're not muted.
Sorry. What I like to tell clients is that I will help them find whatever they need. If they are looking for shelter, I can send them to the shelter. I can send a referral for that. If they're looking for housing, I can help them with housing. If they're looking for food, I can help them with food. If they're looking for clothes, I can do that. More specifically, I help them with order of protections. I will go to court with them so that way, whenever they're sitting next to their perpetrator, they will not be alone. I'm more of a moral support for them to go through the situation that they're going through. Whatever they need, I will help them find, or I will find somebody who can do it for them.
Thank you so much, Sierra. So it's about time for us to close, but I do want to thank you, Dr. Black, again for your participation, and as well as Hope and Martha. I'm not sure who Jay Toll is. Thank you so much for being a part. Kay Reed, thank you. And of course, to whoever is going to be able to share this video, thank you so much. If you ever need us or you want us to come and be a part of something that you're having to be able to spread awareness about the issues of family violence, domestic violence, child abuse, sexual assault, human trafficking, elder abuse, you name it, we are here. Just give us a call. This is the Center for the Darlington County site, and our number here is 843-383-0240, or you can call our Darlington site at 843-383-5534. Again, my name is Pamela Prince, and I am the Services Coordinator for PD Coalition of Darlington County. Dolores Best is our trauma counselor. Sierra Moore is our advocate for the city of Darlington. And Charlotte Gaddy is our volunteer coordinator for the city of Darlington County as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, and you guys have a great lunch. Thank you for chatting. Hey, we'll be back Thursday at 12 o'clock to continue our conversation. So if you're not busy, please join us. Thank you again.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.